was your day?
Uh,
Just come from school?
yeah.
What was it like today?
It's just, I've got this problem. Have I talked about being sort of perfectionism that's coming over me?
Well, not too much. I'd like to hear about that. Tell me more about that.
I just, it's not who I am. I am not this person.
It sounds like that's really bothering
Well, I have a new assistant in my classroom. I'm fairly new to this school. New classroom. And I'm not a neat freak. I'm an artist. I mean, my God. And this girl, okay, I have the students after art class, especially the end of the day, because, I have several classes. And I'm sort of having palpitations because of that.
feeling stressed right now.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to just take some deep breaths? One of the kinds of breathing that I really like, that helps me when I feel anxious, is that diaphragmatic breathing.
Yeah.
Have you done that ever?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I forget about it.
So I like to inhale to the count of 4, hold it for 2, and then exhale through my mouth for 5. Helps to sit up and kind of straight and feet on the floor, I'm sure it's hard, and then in more of a meditative posture. Just do that for a minute. It makes such a big difference. I'll do it with you.
Okay.
It helps me too.
Yeah. So for how many?
4. So I'll count it for you. So
Okay.
Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 2, 1, 2. And exhale for 5. When you exhale, just imagine the stress, the worries, the tension going out of your fingers and your toes. And then when you're inhaling, only focus on your breathing and feeling the ground beneath your feet.
Mm.
Any other thought that comes into your mind, just push it out.
It's really hard.
It is hard. Just inhale for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 2, and exhale. Big exhale for 5. Feel the tension and the stress just go out of your body. Just do it a few more times, and then when you're ready, just open your eyes and continue.
It sounds like a really shallow breath.
Just do the best you can.
That's what I'm trying to tell myself. Well, this perfectionism thing that I'm doing now, we got some horrible news that I never know quite what I've mentioned before, but about these 2 kids that
What 2 kids are you thinking about?
the 2 kids they took their own lives. We found out, unfortunately, on the news, which was really bad for my son. And
2 kids from Santa Fe.
Yeah.
these kids?
And it's brought it all back. So for me, and,
To
awful.
hear that.
Yeah, and when the girl, the girl, I was pretty close to. She was my assistant, actually. Well, at one time, not this when it happened, but she had been, and I kind of taken her under my wing. She was kind of this kid, and one of the kids that died was a very at-risk kid. And
So you knew these kids.
I knew them. Yeah, a lot of them are art students. You know, they're on the edge kids. You know, take art. You know, and they're good. I mean, it's great.
Expressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. And she really opened up this girl, Lenny. It's just now. I thought it was so much better. I mean, I'm just still carrying this. I sort of just this A for adulterer or something sign on me. I feel, you know, that I didn't do anything.
So tell me more. I want to understand more of what happened when you heard about the suicide. The emotions that came flooding in. It sounds like there were a lot of different kinds of emotions.
Oh,
There was the sadness about just hearing these kids were gone. But
yeah.
then it also brought in someone else.
Oh God, I mean, it's all like it happened yesterday. I mean, and that you know, this girl that was I was close to, Lenny. I mean, we should have stayed in touch. We were a little bit, but you know, I get so busy, and she's, you know, all these should have, and it was an overdose and all that, you know, and then the other boy that did it was another associate of my son's, so now he's just going nuts.
Your son really affected him.
Yeah, I mean, but his going nuts is just closing off.
So it shuts down.
Yeah, so what it brought back was the flood of this grief, which I still can't, you know, it comes, I feel like, okay, there it is, and then it just goes away, because I can't feel it. I can't really let myself let that tide in.
So what happens when you first start to feel it?
I think I'm going to lose it, and then it goes away.
What would that look like? You know, can you imagine happening if you lost it first?
I just fall and dissolve into a mess on the floor.
Did that happen right after the shooting?
Hmm. I went numb.
Just shut everything off.
Yeah, because the guilt came in so fast.
It sounds like the guilt and the regret. Those are two feelings that haunt you.
No, it's just constant. I mean, I live with it. I mean, and I was getting better though. I mean, I was sort of getting a little bit into the new day, you know, the new home, the new school, the new kids.
Investing your energy into the present.
Into the trying, but you know, I mean, but you know, and I have something I've done, which it was before the hearing about the kids that I'm pretty embarrassed about, that nobody really knows because it's my classroom.
What is that?
Well, the storage room, which we really need, and I have a key because it's where all the art supplies are.
Yes.
I mean, and we keep our clay in there and everything. I mean, in Santa Fe, we had a ceramic room. That's where it all happened. We had a ceramic studio, big. I mean, it was a huge school with fantastic facilities. We had our own building, and that's where we came. And of course, we hid in there, in that storage, in that room. And now the storage room in my room, with this new school room, which doesn't have the ceramics room and all that. It's all kind of one big room, and I do it all in one room. I've locked it. I don't want, and it's like nobody can go in there. I don't. It's actually I've pulled the supplies out of there, and I put them in the middle of the room, in a, with portable shelves in the middle of the room so everybody can access them. They don't have to go in there. But the clay has to be in there, so it has to stay cool.
So are you the only one who goes in there?
I'm not in there.
And you're the only one.
I mean, I want to teach clay. But see, that's the problem. The day it happened, I was going to teach this ceramic sculpture project.
So that's really close to home.
Yeah, and that's my main thing, ceramic hand building. I haven't been able to get near clay since I did. Not even. And it's on my curriculum. I've got to get to it.
So I hear you mention 3 significant themes, and I'm wondering if you can tell me which one you'd like to focus on.
Okay, yeah, because
I heard you
it's all
mention
over the place.
Actually, maybe a 4th thing. You said
Yeah.
perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said the hearing about the suicide thoughts. And then you talked about the guilt and the regret that you feel. And then you talked about the storage.
Yeah.
So out of all of those, is there one that feels more pressing that you'd like to focus on?
Yes, okay, yes, the perfectionist.
So tell me more about the perfectionist.
I lost it with my new assistant today. I lost it with her. I reamed her. And it was so stupid. I've always wanted a neat classroom. Sure, I like things put back where they're supposed to be. The brushes have to be washed a certain way and, stored with their tips up, and the brushes need to be, kind of plumed, or what do you call it, pointed and all that, Yeah, I like it to look neat. The table's washed down, sprayed and washed down. But this was... So they used my iPad. She used my iPad. That's fine. I let them use it. She was using it, and it goes on my desk. My desk is in the back of the room, in the corner. And she finished using it. She just kind of slid it onto the desk and didn't. It usually sits right in this little corner. I don't really worry about it usually.
Right.
But of late, I've noticed myself pushing it to the corner till I'm not lined up. And then I find myself really evening it up with that corner,
That's just right.
Yeah, and then I have this little ritual, and I take the charger, and it goes in this sort of place in the door, and it's sort of how I lock up the room, and I check the storage room, and that I've been checking, and then I go about 3 times, make sure it's locked. I don't know where I'm afraid it's going to come out of there, go in there, and then So anyway, she just kind of haphazardly just kind of on the desk, and she's a sweet girl, quiet, sweet girl, art student, a little all on the edge, not a little down one, but really sweet and not popular. And I just screamed at her, "How could you possibly do that? Why didn't you put it back the way it was supposed to be? You don't just slide it on the desk." And she just looked at me in horror and cried and left the room. It was gone.
She was surprised by your response.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I afterwards, the shame that just came over me. And the shock that I would yell at someone for something so stupid. I mean, so she wasn't trying to break it. She didn't throw it like that. She just kind of like that, and it just sort of.
I remember earlier today, I heard you say that you felt really out of character.
Yeah, it's not who I am.
So it sounds like something's going on inside that maybe is coming out that way. But maybe that's really not what's bothering you. So it gets misdirected.
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely feels like a lot of. I mean, I want control over that edge, but there are other things in the classroom too that I'm starting to get like that about. I'm starting to notice more cleaning I want to do. and, and arranging of things. And I've been pretty concise with her. It really bugs me because I had a boss that was like this before about where things went. She had that one of those voices, and you could hear her heels clicking, on the floor, and she wanted to clean up at a certain time, and and it was all about the cleanup, and and I'm kind of getting that way. I mean, I'm getting, which is kind of good because I'm kind of lax. A lot of times I end up doing it all myself, which is wrong. I'm not getting paid for that. So I stay late and clean up because, the kids get so into their projects, and cleaning up after clay or paint or anything is just a mess. Big job. So this is new, but it's sort of like, I have noticed with this girl, and I've watched her, she'll spray the tables down, and she wipes them off, but sometimes I'll go up and say, wait, you missed a spot. I've kind of been doing that, and, you missed a spot. And she doesn't seem to mind. She just hit it, But it's been kind of building. There's been something about her, I think, that's been sort of bugging me. I'm not even sure what it is. She's a little bit slovenly. I don't know.
Well, there's two things I'm thinking about, Marianne, as you talk. And I'd like to listen to both and see if you think either of them makes sense.
Okay.
One is that the need for order, like that, tends to be a symptom of anxiety.
Yeah.
Or feeling like things in your life are being out of control. Sounds in some ways oversimplistic.
Yeah. Well,
explanation.
Not
but
really.
It's valid.
Yeah.
And that people often will have a higher need for more obsessive thoughts or compulsive behavior when their anxiety level goes up. It's almost like an indicator light of that anxiety. So it tells you that something is really off balance inside, and you're trying to fix it outside.
On the outside.
So that's one thing. And then the second thought is, it seems to me like you mentioned that one of the people who committed suicide was your assistant back in Santa Fe.
She had been.
And now this girl is your assistant.
Yeah. Oh, right. And she's kind of a little bit the same type.
And so I think there might be something there, something, a lot of emotion about the assistant who died that gets played out with the assistant.
Apologetic.
Sometimes people feel anger about loss.
I've had with so many compiled losses and so many confused emotions. I don't know what. I just don't know what I'm feeling. So I do feel anger, and I felt so angry at her when she did that. And then, I'm not even saying her name. Her name is June.
The new assistant?
Yeah.
But it's possible you feel some anger toward the girl who killed herself.
No, because she survived.
Tell me, I'd like to understand that more. Tell me more.
Well, she survived to live.
She survived the shooting.
Yeah. So I understand the concept of survivor guilt. I think about it, the Holocaust and all that. I know it makes more sense to me in a way but we were, and my problem as an adult surviving, the complexity of how I feel about the fact that I'm still alive feels different than it might if I was a student. It's so horrible to lose your best friend or your friend. Yes, but a teenager has so much to live for. Why, if you survive something so hideous and such carnage, such hideousness, and so many of your peers survive, why then take your own life? When, those kids that wanted to live didn't have a second to think about whether they wanted to live or die. Not even 1 second. And yeah, so I know the young mind is not developed, because these kids are more on the edge, periphery. They're not maybe as strong as some kids that are more taking a stance now, and protesting, gun violence, all that stuff. And for me, it's just like I can't take anymore because I can't even function with what did happen. And now to have done this, to me, it almost feels like thanks a lot.
These two.
Yeah, because it's brought it all back, and now I'm worried about my own son, and I'm worried about, and it's all come back. And so, I mean, it's like, okay, it happened yesterday now. And so any progress I thought I made forward is reeling back into that cesspool.
Well, I don't think when something in the present triggers from the past, it doesn't erase the progress that you made.
Really?
It doesn't. It just means that there may be another layer of emotion that's not yet processed. And you went through something so traumatic, unbelievably traumatic, really, really life-changing type of event.
It is.
And I think it may take you a while to work through it at multiple levels.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you did work through a lot, which has allowed you to continue working, let you even go back into the classroom to finish up that year.
Yeah.
It's so unbelievable you could do that.
Yeah, I don't know how I did it, and I don't even hardly remember it.
And then you came here and you started teaching again. Still wanting to help students and still giving of yourself in that way. And starting to invest here. But then there's this present trigger of the past trauma. Brings up another layer of emotion. So it's almost like peeling the onion. You peel it to a new layer.
To a new layer.
So allow you to resolve it a little bit at a deeper level. And you're probably in a better position to do that now than you were a year ago when everything was so wrong.
Yeah. I can't. I mean,
And what that's what I really work on. I really use our therapy to do that. I like to use EMDR as a kind of therapy to help with trauma.
What's that?
It's eye movement, sensitization, and reprocessing therapy.
I think I've heard of that, yeah.
And we'll talk more about that in the future. It's a really good therapy for trauma.
Because what I have is trauma.
Oh, yes.
Do I have PTSD?
Well, it might be interesting for us to look at the diagnostic criteria for that, but my gut feeling is that you likely do, because flashbacks and nightmares and intrusive memories and preoccupation and hypervigilance, the reactivity that you're experiencing.
Reactivity is a sign of
all those things.
And I can see, the thing is, this poor girl, I mean, I've got to apologize, and it's probably going to get around, and I'm probably going to get have a talking to by somebody, and the thing is that I already feel like kind of a freak at the school, because they know.
You know the whole story.
Well, they know I'm from Santa Fe, and they can't not know. I don't talk about it, but I'm a little paranoid, and I haven't really made friends yet. What they think of me, and what they read. They know I was in the art room. They know where I was in the room. Ceramics. I'm jinxing their school.
Would it help you to tell your story?
Oh, never thought of that. Never thought of that. Tell my story, actually to the faculty.
Or ones that you trust to start, because another way that people heal from trauma is exposure. So it's where you go back and you tell the story, and in essence desensitize yourself to it by sharing the story with people. And sometimes people do that in therapy. tell the therapist the story.
Exactly what happened.
Yes, in a lot of detail, regardless of the emotion it brings up, regardless of how hard it is, until it's not so painful to tell a story anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be a little
Right.
but both of the therapies work on making it so that you can remember without feeling devastated every time you're doing it.
And the constant, because I have pictures always going in the slideshow in my head all the time. And as I'm sitting here, I'm seeing
Yes,
all kinds of
that
pictures going by.
stops.
It stops. And the ruminating, because going back to the moment before, or the moment when I could have done something.
So just so you know, time goes by pretty fast.
Is it already almost over?
We only have about 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Actually, maybe 7 more minutes until the time is over.
Whoa. Oh, okay.
And I want to make sure you're okay when you leave.
I know, I'm sure. Do you think I need medication? Well, I don't know if I need medication. I don't want medication.
Well, that's something I'll watch for.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that in the future. So I don't know at this point if I would suggest medication evaluation. So we'll watch and see how you're doing.
And I'm in such a blur. I mean, I've been coming on about 4 times. I haven't told you the details, have I? The story. Oh, okay. I always think I've told it.
Well, it takes time to feel safe.
Yeah.
And my job is to create a talk about these things. And this was very painful. I mean, I hear a lot of complex feelings. You feel regret, you feel sadness, you feel anger.
I feel marked. I feel, and the worst is the guilt. And that's what makes me so mad, because it's so in front of everything else. And the one thing, I do want to ask you something before I go, so I'll keep this quick, but I did find something out about the shooter. His father's an immigrant. The father has said that he thinks that maybe have been the source of the bullying that he was going through. I thought it was more like the coaches were teasing him because he was a little guy on the team, and some of the more popular kids were giving him a little bit of a razz, but I think it was all kind of good natured. When he would talk about it, he'd come in and he'd be a little, chip on his shoulder, he'd sort of mood off and said, "Oh, those guys," I just thought he was handling it well. I didn't know anything about the immigrant. I mean, just think of the common ground we could have had together. I mean, that is because, when you have, I think of myself as white. I just do. I mean, nobody would ever think to look at me that I have a Mexican father at all. There's just no signs anywhere. I look, English or something. I just don't look like it. I'm kind of a freak. My brothers and sisters are more ethnic looking. Maybe I could somehow, this is kind of in line with what I want to ask you. Maybe if I did speak to the faculty, because we do have lockdowns, which are really hard on me. It's horrible, and that's sirens. And this is what one parent has said to me, which is so horrible. But this is what their lives are now. They don't know anything else, these kids. It's a different world. And for me, I'm still from the generation that, school is a safe place. So one thing that one of the local high schools is doing, the drama department, I think it might be Eastcourt High School, maybe? Yeah, they have a good drama department. The kids are working on writing one-acts about shootings. There's kind of a healing and getting to understand the psychology of why this has happening, which I know that kids who were picked on in my high school, I remember being kind of a bully to some kids, doing some things like on the phone and mean things, in groups with girls and stuff. Nobody brought a gun and killed everybody. I mean, they just sort of went off into the corner. They didn't ever even seem to know sometimes they were being bullied. And I think that the kids are trying to understand it. And even one boy plays a shooter, and we showed it on Channel 9, and he has, like just air. They're not using even a stick. He's just, holding his arms that way. And I wondered if you would want to go with me on something like that. Could you do that?
It's so kind of you to think of me.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It helped me.
And it's something that really is not considered okay
Oh.
as your therapist.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That we would do something outside of this room.
Outside of this room.
In a more social situation. Even though I can see why. I understand why you think of that.
Mm-hmm.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, it would.
Share.
It would.
But I really can't do that. My ethical guidelines set boundaries around what we can do together and what we can't. To protect you and to keep this as a safe
I
place
respect that.
for us.
Okay.
But what a nice thought.
Well,
So I really appreciate you thinking of
absolutely, and I can tell you about it. That might be
Like
real
that.
simple.
I would really like that.
And maybe
That helps.
and maybe I can even help our drama department. I mean, I do have a lot of theater in my background. But if I could tell my story to the faculty or to the ones I trust, it might really help safety of the school
Oh,
and wake them up.
yes. And part of what helps people feel is if you can see something good coming out of something very traumatic.
Yeah,
You think of that woman who started the movement against
I do see those women. I don't know how they have the strength.
I think it was her son who was killed.
Yes. Yes.
And then she created this whole.
Mad. Yeah.
So she took something traumatic when she was ready and healed enough and decided to do it and used it to help other people. And that is very human. So that's what I think about.
It really, that just even, I feel calmer when I talk about that. For a moment, the guilt, which just wants to sit there, I almost feel like I'd miss it if it left. It's just become my companion.
Well, I think the guilt can be channeled in a different direction. Yeah. So I noticed the time.
Okay. Yeah, it's time.
To stop.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like I'm starting to understand more about what you're struggling with.
Oh, good. That's good.
That's going to help us work all these things together. Are you feeling okay to leave? Do you feel like you're still back here at school, or do you feel like you're pretty much present?
Well, I think I'm okay.
Well, just to make sure, just if you can look around the room and find 3 white things and tell me what you see.
Do I have to close my eyes?
No, you're right.
Oh, okay. I wondered if it was a memory thing.
No, look, actually.
Okay, a white, the thermostat, the white square over there, I don't know what it is. The light switch. I'm saying they're white, they're creamy.
You're close enough.
The mic.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And if you could say your zip code backwards.
9 7 8 0 8 9. That's weird. That's scary.
Thinking about numbers usually gets people
More
back
present.
into the present because it really takes a lot of focus and energy. And then just take another deep breath and exhale. And know that we're going to get through this.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll be okay.
I have to because I have to get home to my son and my husband.
So we'll stop here. Okay.
Thanks. Okay.
Welcome.